Part 214. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 2132. Mr. Zhang, if what you said comes true, then our place will change drastically and we will become well off ahead of schedule, Mr. Gan and Zhang Xiangbei said. Zhang Xiangbei said that not only will these things be realized, but it will also be better. With the transformation of the village's appearance every year in the future, it will become more and more attractive. Mr. Gan nodded, but he still didn't have much confidence in his heart, especially about convincing those few people to come work here. Xiaobian seemed to be thinking about a similar question. He asked Zhang Xiangbei, after gathering those few people here, what will happen to the original village committee? When converted into workshop offices and warehouses, workers also need a place to rest. However, when renovating, we must pay attention to the fact that the standard of the workshop office must be lower than that of the workers' restroom, and air conditioning is not allowed in the office, Zhang Xiangbei said. Why is this? Xiaobian asked. These people are vice presidents here and bosses there. If the office environment there is too good, do you think they would rather be here or there? Then, they will occupy an office here, but in reality it's all over there. Zhang Xiangbei said, and Xiaobian laughed and understood. He said, it is better to cancel the separate office altogether. Okay, Zhang Xiangbei said, just change the original village committee into a workers' lounge and workshop warehouse. The workshop director's desk should be placed in the workers' lounge. There is no need to set up a separate office. This matter is still difficult, Mr. Gan said. What's the difficulty? Zhang Xiangbei asked. It is still difficult to get them to work here in the company. It is difficult to convince them, Mr. Gan said. They say they would rather be the head of the chicken than the tail of the phoenix. You are right, they are the most important person when they are there. Chicken head. I have thought about it, and I can use financial means to redeem it, Zhang Xiangbei said. What do you mean? Mr. Gan asked. Have you heard the story about Zhao Quangayan releasing his military power over a cup of wine? Zhang Xiangbei said, when we take away part of their power and give them another part of the power or sweetness, their hearts will be balanced and they will be willing to accept us. It's arranged. What exactly do you want to say? I still don't understand, Mr. Gan said. We must admit the fact that these 4 vice presidents are also village directors and need to be responsible for the affairs of the village. Although, as I said before, roads, sanitation, tap water, public toilets, 5 guaranteed households, etc. are controlled by the company. The package has solved most of the problems in the village, but there are still some that we cannot cover, and there will still be expenses. Now, these villages are under great financial pressure. I asked Xiaobian to investigate. Even when they were in office, they already owed debts ranging from more than 70,000 to more than 110,000, right? Xiaobian was right, this does not include the debts accumulated over the years. I talked with Lao Xiaotu this morning. He said that the village director is almost as if he has lost all his relatives and friends. The money owed by the village is all his own. Come forward and borrow it from relatives and friends. There is such a situation. We were like this before. Now we have no new debts and we are gradually paying off the old debts. We have not paid them all off yet. The earliest EIS were made in 1993. They are almost older than me. Mr. Gan said. When we move them here, we also need to help partially solve their problems, Zhang Xiangbei said, that is, we give each of their vice presidents a business fund of 50,000 yuan every year. This business fund, Xiaobian does not need to check whether the purpose has anything to do with the company. In fact, he just lets them use it to subsidize the village's financial shortcomings. I have calculated that, excluding the expenses our company has undertaken, at 50,000 yuan a year plus the transfer payment from the superior finance, each village can have a slight surplus, allowing them to gradually solve the historical debt problem, so that the pressure is reduced and I can devote myself to completing various assessments of the company. Mr. Gan thought for a moment and said, if that's the case, it would indeed be very attractive to them. If you don't review the usage, what will happen if they use it indiscriminately? Xiaobian asked. Within the range of 50,000, the purpose will not be reviewed, and the report can be submitted with invoices. This authority will be delegated to them. The money will be distributed 3 times at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year, allowing them to plan and arrange by themselves. Don't worry, there are so many eyes watching. If you can let them go, the debtors and villagers will not let them go. They will be dissatisfied with him. Yes, we just need them to have conflicts. Sometimes we still need them if there are no conflicts. Create contradictions. Zhang Xiangbei smiled, and both Mr. Gan and Xiaobian were baffled by his words. What do you mean, you still want to have a conflict? Mr. Gan asked. Yes, contradictions can promote social progress and the development of things. How to create contradictions is the skill of mixing sand. Zhang Xiangbei continued to smile. I don't understand, I don't understand. What you said is too profound. Mr. Gan waved his hands and said. It's not profound at all. Zhang Xiangbei said, for you, do you think it's better for the following to be monolithic or to have conflicts with each other? It's monolithic. When your decision conflicts with theirs, your decision can still be pushed forward. If they have conflicts with each other, they will definitely be unable to resolve the conflicts themselves and will definitely hand them over. When their conflicts are handed over to you and resolved by you, each time, do you think it is your prestige that is rising, or that of Li Deifu or Lao Xiaotiou? Both Mr. Gan and Xiaobian laughed, and Mr. Gan shouted, I'm going to do it, you're a Machiavellian. I didn't expect you to be able to do this. Zhang Xiangbei said with a smile, I only know the basics. If you want to truly know what China's power tactics are, go to Hangzhou and ask Gu Gong to explain it to you. The next day, Zhang Xiangbei took a late nap and didn't get up until about 8 o'clock in the morning. He didn't know if Xiaohu had gotten up at this time, but Lu Yun must have gotten up. Zhang Xiangbei called Lu Yun and told her what happened here, saying that they needed to do this if they wanted this place to become a stable supply base for their fresh home delivery in the southwestern region. If you do this, it is of a public welfare nature, Lu Yun said. Zhang Xiangbei said, yes, I want to explore a model, a base like this. Our local cooperation with them is not only economic cooperation, but complete integration. Our company and the local area are integrated together. In this way, others do not have ways to compete. If I understand correctly, Bai, this is actually another form of Suishivang, or an upgraded version of Suishivang, which has risen from one household to the whole village's cooperation. We are in rural areas, it does not make a profit in the local area and gives all the profits to the local area, but it makes a profit in the delivery of fresh food in the city. Wait a minute, Bai, let me think about it. This is equivalent to completely connecting the city and the countryside through our platform and becoming a whole. Every customer of ours in the city, when they buy every vegetable, in fact, they are also helping rural areas, because they give us greater ability to help more such villages. Is my understanding correct? Lu Yun asked, and Zhang Xiangbei laughed and said, Godmother, I didn't think about it that deeply, but when you said it, it really is like this. Then tell this story well, Bai, you are right. If we can tell this story well and do this well, we will be at a higher level than other competitors. This will be our core competitiveness is something we can afford from a financial perspective, Lu Yun said. Zhang Xiangbei said yes, this is actually something that is beneficial to both parties. Although it seems that our profitability in Yubei company has weakened, it is beneficial to our company as a whole. Lu Yun said okay, then I agree with your idea. Zhang Xiangbei then called Xiaohu. Zhang Xiangbei talked for a long time, and Xiaohu also understood half of it. The main reason was that he didn't understand the situation in rural areas in mainland China. What Zhang Xiangbei said was about the village committee and the secretary's arrangements. Wait, I have no idea at all, Xiaohu asked. Zhang Xiangbei, were you the last one to call me? Zhang Xiangbei said yes. Have Lu Yun, Xiaofang, and your father all agreed? Xiaohu asked. Zhang Xiangbei said yes, they agreed. Okay, you do it, I agree, Xiaohu said. As soon as Zhang Xiangbei hung up Xiaohu's call, his cell phone rang immediately. It was Mr. Gan. Zhang Xiangbei picked up the phone. Mr. Gan told him that he had arrived at the intersection outside. Okay, I'll be out right away, Zhang Xiangbei said. Mr. Gan came to pick up Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangbei predicted last night that he would be able to convince Lu Yun and Xiaohu. He made an agreement with Mr. Gan to pick him up the next morning. They went to the countryside together to report to the secretary and the mayor. Report. Of course the secretary and the township head knew about the internal strife in Yubei Company and the things that several villages were doing to each other. Especially this time when the villagers of Likan village were clamoring to withdraw their shares, they felt that something was wrong. The two of them went to Hangzhou specifically to persuade Zhang Chen and Xiaofang to establish the Yubei Company. This company has changed the face of their hometown and made them feel proud. Now it has appeared, of course they were anxious after seeing such a thing, and they didn't want to see problems with Yubei Company. They knew that Zhang Xiangbei had arrived in the village, and they had originally decided to go to Gan village to meet Zhang Xiangbei today. Mr. Gan called early in the morning and said that he and Zhang Xiangbei would come to the village to report on their work. The two of them did not. He left, but waited in the countryside. When Zhang Xiangbei and the others did not arrive, the two of them discussed it and felt that Zhang Xiangbei must have come to ask for help from them today. If so, the township would immediately set up a working group to go to various villages, especially Li village, to do work. During the Spring Festival, it is the busiest time for the supply of fresh food at home. They must help the Yubei Company overcome this hurdle first. Production cannot be stopped. Other issues will be discussed after the new year. The two of them were very happy after hearing Zhang Xiangbei's plan, especially seeing that he had such a high profile and decided to keep all the profits locally to solve local problems. They felt that Zhang Xiangbei's plan was also in line with the above. Both of them expressed support for Zhang Xiangbei's plan to combat poverty. The last problem was to convince the four village directors. When Zhang Xiangbei and Mr. Gan came back from the countryside, he went to communicate with the four village directors separately. It was better for him to come forward than Mr. Gan. Xiao Bian said, "Why are you running away? Just make a phone call and call them all over. This kind of thing cannot be discussed together," Zhang Xiangbei said. "When we talk together, if one person asks one question, 4 questions will come up. If one person asks 2, it will be a lot of questions. The problem will become everyone's problem. Let's talk about it individually. If he raises the issue, I will resolve it. Only in this way can we straighten it out. Only then can everyone sit together. Thank you, Tin Soldier, for the reward of 2 fishes, 1 up and 1 down. Thank you Winsanliu and LW. Norvi for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2133. Zhang Xiangbei has done the work of Li Xiao, Wang Chen, and it is right for Zhang Xiangbei to come to them instead of Mr. Gan. These things, to their lack of imagination, sound like stories. If Mr. Gan comes to them, they would think that this was a lie to them, but Zhang Xiangbei was different. They knew that as long as he wanted to, he could do what Zhang Xiangbei said. It's right for Zhang Xiangbei to look for them separately instead of looking for them together. When the 4 of them are together, they will be more courageous due to the large number of people. They look for them one by one. Each of them is weak in front of Zhang Xiangbei. It is easy to be convinced by him. In particular, Zhang Xiangbei has taken over all the expenses that should have been paid by the village. He can still get 50,000 yuan a year for them to pay off the debts they owe. This is very tempting and convincing to them. In the next 2 days, Zhang Xiangbei and a general manager and 5 deputy general managers of Yubei Company held meetings every day to clarify the plan. The plan became more and more detailed, and the meetings became clearer and clearer. After the 2-day meeting, everyone has recovered from their confusion and is full of expectations for their future. On New Year's Eve, Zhang Xiangbei had to go back to Hangzhou no matter what. The night before he went back, Zhang Xiangbei invited the village secretaries of 5 villages to have dinner at the best restaurant in the county. At the dinner table, Zhang Xiangbei this plan was explained in detail to the 5 of them. Although they had heard about it, they were not as detailed and clear as Zhang Xiangbei said. Zhang Xiangbei also emphasized that this plan was approved by the township. Now that the township has agreed, what else can they say? The subordinates obey their superiors. At the same time, they also feel that this plan will not make their future work more difficult, but will instead make it less difficult. The secretary of Wang village made a suggestion. He said that the village branch's sign should be hung outside the building. Otherwise, when the superior leaders came, they would not know which village they were in. Zhang Xiangbei said, yes, we will hang the 5 signs side by side. That's it. Next, the guests and hosts enjoy themselves. It was noon when Zhang Xiangbei returned to Hangzhou, and Xiangnan went to Xiaoshan Airport to pick him up. The 2 of them bought burgers and cokes at the Burger King opposite the exit, and took them to the car to eat. Xiangnan still has to rehearse in the afternoon. Today, the 29th, the audition will begin at the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel. Zhang Xiangbei said. It's not a formal performance. Why are you so serious? It's a rehearsal and an audition. It's just a few excerpts. Do you still need to rehearse? Even I have almost learned it. Don't talk nonsense, Xiangnan scolded. If you continue to talk nonsense, I will starve you, and you will not be allowed to eat hamburgers as a punishment. Zhang Xiangbei laughed. He said, okay, I shut up and concentrate on eating my burger. What do you know? Tomorrow is New Year's Eve and everyone is happily having New Year's Eve dinner. What a disappointment if the performance fails. Besides, it's Tuxiang Garden. If there is an accident during the performance, Aunt Huihuan won't let it go. Pass me, Xiangnan said and turned around and asked, why, Zhang Xiangbei, you still want me to smash the Tuxiang Garden sign? Zhang Xiangbei understood. While biting his burger, he said vaguely, I understand. What do you know? Xiangnan asked. Zhang Xiangbei took a few bites, swallowed the burger in his mouth, and said to Xiangnan, you really have to take it seriously. Many of the people who come for the New Year's Eve dinner tomorrow are regular customers of Tuxianjiayuan. When you perform on stage, Huihuan will definitely introduce to them that this is Mr. Zhang's daughter-in-law. Xiangnan's face turned red, and he stretched out his hand to hit Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangbei quickly shifted the gear, backed up the car, and shouted, drive, drive, be safe. Xiangnan snorted, I'll come back to take care of you tonight. Zhang Xiangbei said with a playful smile, it's okay. When you deal with me, I will scream and Uncle Pole will run up. You, Xiangnan puffed out his cheeks and stared at Zhang Xiangbei with wide eyes. Zhang Xiangbei smiled proudly. Zhang Xiangbei drove the car to the downstairs of the half-acre field building and dropped Xiangnan down here. He then drove south to Jubeo, where he wanted to visit the company. Zhang Xiangbei sat in Wu Huan's office and told Wu Huan about Chongqing with great interest. Wu Huan listened quietly to Zhang Xiangbei's words without saying a word. Zhang Xiangbei was a little surprised that Wu Huan didn't react at all to such a big matter. Zhang Xiangbei asked Wu Huan, and Wu Huan said, can I tell the truth? Certainly. I heard the whole story. It's just a story about a rich second generation throwing away money. Do you feel that you are irresponsible to the company like this? Wu Huan said seriously, I don't want you to come back every time. The result is not an increase in profits for the company, but a decrease. If that were the case, what we were running was not a company but a charity. I don't agree with your statement, Zhang Xiangbei said. If there were not such a large supply base around Chongqing and Chengdu, vegetables would have to be transported in from outside, and it would be difficult to get adequate protection. And if this base, if it is unstable, we will be very passive. I am not impulsive. I have also calculated the accounts, but the calculations are big accounts. The total account of the whole thing is the amount of vegetables produced there every day. The same amount, if shipped from Shandong, Guangdong, and Ningxia, the annual transportation cost will be several million yuan, which is higher than the profit we can make there. Although we return Yubei Company's profits to the local area, what we get is a rock-solid base. If the account is calculated this way, it is still a good deal for us. Don't worry, I am not a fool. This is a good thing for both parties, all beneficial things. Wu Huan didn't answer, so she took the calculator and did some calculations. After a while, she raised her head and said, Okay, on this point, we both reserve our own opinions. By the way, have you talked to the shareholders about this? Of course I have said it before. How dare I make my own decision on such a big matter, Zhang Xiangbei said. Wu Huan sighed and said, sooner or later they will spoil you rotten. Zhang Xiangbei laughed loudly and cursed, don't let them hear what you said. How dare I complain in front of you, Wu Huan said, by the way, how will Mang Chao arrange it? Let's make arrangements as soon as possible. We will go to Taipei first after the holidays. When we come back, I will go to Chongqing. When the plan starts to be implemented there, I must be there. Being there can reduce the pressure on Mr. Gan, Zhang Xiangbei said. Wu Huan said yes, give me your ID photo and ID card, and I will ask someone to apply for the Taiwan pass. I will try to get it done in the afternoon or tomorrow morning, and hand it over to Xiaohu's company, and they will get the Taiwan entry permit as soon as possible. Zhang Xiangbei returned to his office, and Wu Huan followed him. Zhang Xiangbei found his ID photo from the drawer and handed it to Wu Huan along with his ID card. Wu Huan went to arrange for someone to apply for a Taiwan pass. Zhang Xiangbei also stood up and left the office. He went to the workshop downstairs to have a look, and then went to Gu Gong. When Gu Gong saw him coming in, he shouted, "You're back, Your Majesty. Are you coming back victorious or returning in defeat?" "It doesn't count," Zhang Xiangbei said. He then told Gu Gong what he planned to do in Chongqing. Gu Gong said that it was an idea, but it was also a risk. "How come?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. "You still lack understanding of the national character. When you gather people together, have you ever thought that you are also concentrating contradictions? It may not be a bad thing if they don't see the king. If there are real contradictions, you, the chairman, can still be in the middle. Coordination, now you have put 5 tigers in a cage, and there are 5 secretaries in front of them. I will go, how lively will it be?" Zhang Xiangbei was stunned for a moment. What Gu Gong said makes sense. Those 5 people are the general manager and deputy general manager in the company, but in other capacities, they are on the same level. They don't have to buy each other's opinions, and they themselves, I can't say that I'm there every day. Gu Gong saw Zhang Xiangbei stunned and said quickly, "Forget it, let's not talk about this. Let's talk about next year's things next year. Let's celebrate the new year first. By the way, should you go to Tuxianjiayuan Hotel for New Year's Eve dinner, or should the food and drink man and woman cook it at home? How could it be possible? How could those old ladies at home let others interfere in such an important position?" "Of course they would eat at home," Zhang Xiangbei said. "Tomorrow, there will be not only grandma and grandma at home, but also Mrs. Tan and Mama Zhangzi. The four old ladies occupy two kitchens, and other people can't get involved at all. It's interesting that I opened a restaurant in such a large scale, but I didn't eat in Tuxianjayuan, nor was I called food and drinking man and woman. Mr. Zhang, what would the customers of Tuxianjayuan and food and drinking man and woman think about this? Gu Gong asked with a smile. Zhang Xiangbei shook his head with a wry smile. As for me, a vegetable seller, let me tell you, I can't even convince my grandma and grandma to buy vegetables at Zai Xianshui. They insist on going to the market to buy vegetables, saying that they can tell whether they are fresh or not, Zhang Xiangbei said, and Gu Gong laughed. You're still laughing, there's something even more ridiculous and irritating, Zhang Xiangbei said. They don't know where they heard it from, saying that Daily Fresh has the cheapest dishes, but my grandma is actually their Daily Fresh order for groceries. Gu Gong couldn't hold it any longer and squatted on the sofa, laughing so hard that he fell down. Zhang Xiangbei continued, even people as young as Zhang Xiangzi know this truth. She went to turn off the computer host and refused to let them buy it. Gu Gong stood up with a smile and walked into the operation room next door. After a while, he came back with a bag in his hand. In the bag were paper boxes one by one. Gu Gong put the bag on the coffee table and Zhang Xiangbei said, "You can take this back later." "What?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. Family Fun is a steamed version of cured meat made by Xiaoli Dujiang and its top-notch food and drink will also be launched for next year's New Year's Eve dinner. How to make it? There are instructions in it. You can ask the old ladies to follow it, just do it, Gu Gong said. Forget it. Those who are celebrating the New Year, I won't attack them. Now they tremble when they hear your name, Gu Gong. You have completely conquered them, Zhang Xiangbei said. Gu Gong laughed and asked, "You can't say you brought it back from Chongqing, but you must say I did it." "This is okay," Zhang Xiangbei said. "Thank you Jin Wulanji for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2134. On the 11th day of the first lunar month, Xiaohu's Boeing 747 landed at Xiaoshan International Airport in Hangzhou. It was specially designed to pick up Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan. Mang Chao was on the plane. The plane arrived at Taipei Daowen Airport, and after getting off the plane, Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan immediately felt the influence of Xiaohu and Fubon Financial Holdings in Taiwan, and just like what Mang Chao said to them on the plane, it was blue and green. Regardless of whether they are blue or green, politicians in Taiwan need election funds, also called political donations, as long as they participate in elections. They need a sponsor to sponsor them, ranging from a county councillor to a county mayor and larger positions. Money politics is absolutely impossible without money. As one of the largest financial companies on the island, in order to protect itself from political fluctuations, Fubon Financial Holdings has always taken measures regardless of whether it is blue or green. This has nothing to do with the company's political stance, it is just a form of self-protection. Safety measures. Xiaohu's mother, MSCAI, is from Taiwan. Her family's political spectrum is on the green side. However, she was still good friends with Liu Bang, the founder of the Han Dynasty, who advocated reunification of Taiwan with the mainland, or the Red Tong faction. MSCAI passed away. Later, Ma Yingzhu and Lin Chan would come to the mourning hall to express their condolences. When Xiaohu arrived, he had been influenced by Liu Bang, the founder of the Han Dynasty, since he was a child. Later, he learned that his biological mother was originally from Hangcheng in mainland China. Hangzhou is also his root. His true position is self-evident, but now in Taiwan, there are fewer and fewer people like Liu Bang, the founder of the Han Dynasty, who dare to express their position clearly. As the head of a financial holding company, this is even more true. There were 3 cars parked in a row on the tarmac of Dawin Airport. When the plane landed, Xiaohu stood under the ramp, waiting to greet Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan. Beside him, there were airport customs personnel. When Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan walked down, Xiaohu came up to them, shook hands with them, and said thank you for your hard work. The customs official next to him took a step closer, and Xiaohu said, "It's so cold outside, let's talk about it in the car." The customs official stopped quickly and said, "Okay, Mr. Cai." Xiaohu and Zhang Xiangbei got into the back seat of the second car. Mang Chao accompanied Wu Huan to the third car. After sitting in the car, Xiaohu asked the driver to press down the window on Zhang Xiangbei's side. The customs officer stood outside the car window. He checked Zhang Xiangbei's documents, stamped them, went through a formality, and then went to the back to check Wu Huan's. The car started and they drove away from Dawin Airport smoothly. The bus took them to the Mandarin Oriental Hotel on Dunhua North Road, Songshan District. Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan stayed here at night. Xiaohu told them, "Knowing that you have a lot of things at home and you are anxious to get back, I will arrange it in the next few days. Just be more compact, thank you for your hard work. The more compact it is, the better. If you can't run away, I'll be fine." Zhang Xiangbei said. Xiaohu giggled, looked at Wu Huan. Wu Huan said, "I'm fine. Children born from poor families have to endure hardships. Why should I be afraid of you two rich second generations?" Zhang Xiangbei and Xiaohu laughed, and Xiaohu said, "Okay, you guys will have a short rest in the room and have dinner at the Italian restaurant in this hotel in the evening. By the way, in mainland China, you are called a wholesale market. In Taipei, almost all food markets, the dishes in supermarkets and hotels all come from the Taipei Agricultural Products Transportation and Marketing Corporation, a public share enterprise jointly operated by the Taipei City Government and the Council of Agriculture. Now is their window period. The previous general manager just left last month, and the new candidate has not yet been determined. However, I made an appointment with the recently departed general manager to have dinner with us in the evening. What do you want to know? Just ask him, he is very familiar with the vegetable supply situation in Taiwan." Xiaohu and Zhang Xiangbei Wu Huan said. Both said yes. At the appointed time, Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan went downstairs to Bencato restaurant. This is a global chain restaurant that specializes in Italian home-cooked dishes. In fact, the dishes and prices are not home-cooked at all. Which 5-star restaurant there is? Does the hotel restaurant serve home-cooked meals? Mang Chao was already waiting for them at the door of the restaurant and led them into the private room of the restaurant. Mang Chao told them that Xiaohu and Mr. Han would be arriving soon. The design of this private room is very special. One side is transparent glass, and outside the glass is the kitchen of the restaurant. Diners can sit here and enjoy the fine wine and food while watching the chefs carefully making and cooking. The executive chef seems to be a thin Italian, who looks like the protagonist in Brave New World, with his back slightly bowed. Zhang Xiangbei and the others are sitting here, and they can see him walking around in the kitchen, pointing. Even in the Western restaurant, Zhang Xiangbei was still used to drinking tea. Mang Chao knew this habit and asked the waiter to prepare a pot of frozen oolong for them. The 3 of them were drinking tea. Xiaohu was bringing a man in his 50s or 60s. Men came in from outside. The visitor is very conspicuous, especially his bald head, which is not bald but full of hair, as bald as GEUs. What's more, even when shaking hands with a junior like Zhang Xiangbei, he habitually looks far away. He stretched out his hand and then bent down with a very humble attitude, which made people feel good. Xiaohu introduced to Zhang Xiangbei that this was Han's eldest brother Han Kuyu. He had just resigned as the general manager of Taipei Agricultural Products Transportation and Marketing Company last month. He came here specially from Yunlin's home today. Zhang Xiangbei quickly said thank you, Brother Han. Brother Han took off his down jacket. Inside was a light sapphire blue shirt and a pair of navy blue trousers. He looked very simple, especially after sitting down. He habitually pulled the sleeves of his shirt up. After reading 2 volumes, he said that he had been active in the wholesale market of agricultural products for a long time, and Zhang Xiangbei thought he was a good match. Brother Han seemed energetic and talkative. He introduced to Zhang Xiangbei that his ancestral home was Shanghaiu, Henan province on the mainland. When he was still studying at the Institute of East Asian Studies at Soochow University, he also went to Peking University to study East Asian studies. Therefore, the main research area is the mainland, and I am still very familiar with the mainland. Brother Han's words suddenly narrowed the distance between everyone. When the appetizer arrived, it was raw tuna carpaccio with burrata cheese and black olives. The word tuna is rare, but in fact it is just a gimmick in the restaurant. Tuna has a name that everyone is familiar with, that is tuna, burrata. The tuna fillet with cheese has a unique taste. It cannot be said to be particularly delicious, but it is impressive. Next came the seared Hokkaido scallops, with passion fruit and lettuce as side dishes. The scallops were fried golden on both sides, and the cylinder part was white. It was paired with green lettuce and light yellow sauce. The color looked very attractive. Man, it whets your appetite. There is also saffron stewed Italian rice. The stewed rice is aged rice imported from Italy. The stewed rice is made of yellow cheese sauce and covered with a layer of stewed duck tongue. Zhang Xiangbei said this he didn't like the dish. He thought the rice had a unique taste, but when he ate it, it just tasted like raw rice. Zhang Xiangbei's favorite dish is said to be Australian Wagyu beef that has been slow cooked for 12 hours. It is a large piece of beef made from beef cheeks, with a thick layer of mashed potatoes underneath. This dish is delicious and fragrant. Everything. The final dessert was panna cotta with wild berries and smoked milk ice cream. Smoking is just a way of making it, which is to put the milk ice cream in a smoker and smoke it like bacon. Gugong has a smoker, and he uses the smoker to make more weird foods, not to mention milk. Therefore, many people think that the name of this smoked milk ice cream is strange, but Zhang Xiangbei doesn't think so. What attracted Zhang Xiangbei more than the food here was Brother Han and the situation he introduced to Zhang Xiangbei and the others. The Taipei Agricultural Produce Import and Sales Corporation has the first and second fruit and vegetable wholesale markets. Brother Han said that the vegetable prices in these 2 markets have guiding significance for the whole of Taiwan. Other markets across the island will look at the Taipei Market's electronic trading board to determine the prices of local vegetables and fruits. This is actually an island-wide guide price. Brother Han explained the operation process of their fruit and vegetable wholesale market to Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan in detail. After listening to this, Zhang Xiangbei felt that it was still very different from the agricultural product wholesale market in mainland China. In mainland China's agricultural product wholesale market, buyers and sellers directly after negotiating a transaction and completing the transaction, the wholesale market only charges a certain percentage of service fees based on the transaction amount. This service fee is more like rent. I provide a venue for both of you to trade. Once the transaction is completed, I will take the lead. The market itself does not intervene in the transactions between buyers and sellers. There are no restrictions on the qualifications of buyers and sellers. Anyone who brings vegetables from all over the country can enter the market to sell, and anyone can enter the market to buy. The business model of the Taipei first and second fruit and vegetable wholesale markets is a bit like a market maker. Sellers entering the market need to apply for approval and obtain trading qualifications. The sellers are mainly farmers and farmers' associations from various places. The buyer also needs to apply in advance to obtain the entry qualification of the underwriter. The underwriter is usually a retailer or supermarket in Taipei City and New Taipei City. After entering the store by swiping the card, you must confirm the credit balance. The total amount of the products you purchase cannot exceed your purchase price. Credit balance. Whether they are sellers or underwriters, they are relatively fixed here and will enter the market for transactions every day. Before 3 o'clock in the morning, the seller's truck transporting fruits and vegetables arrived at the wholesale market and submitted a purchase details list to the market. The tally clerks in the market tallied and sorted the goods according to the type of products, and signed for them. Then there is unpacking, numbering, quality inspection, and weighing. Then all the information is input into the handheld computer. Based on yesterday's market conditions in the province, the auctioneer gives an auction price. This price is generally slightly higher or slightly lower. As for the market price, this needs to be determined based on the daily climate or supply situation, etc. After all these preparations are completed, the auction begins. The underwriter starts bidding on the mobile auction machine. The underwriter who gives the last price gets the batch of fruits and vegetables. After he confirms the delivery with the wholesale market, the entire transaction process ends. The biggest advantage of this kind of trading model is that all processes are open and transparent, and the final transaction price is also formed by the market, so it has guiding significance for the price of fruits and vegetables on the island. At the same time, it also has a guiding significance for the market the next day. Confirm the starting price for reference. Zhang Xiangbei nodded frequently as he listened. He felt that if it was a wholesale market, such a transaction method would be more reasonable and fairer to both buyers and sellers. It would not be because a buyer or seller is new to the market and would be confused about the local prices. The situation of buying high and selling low, or buying low and selling high, can better protect the interests of both parties. But this puts forward higher requirements for the managers of the wholesale market. He himself is involved in the entire transaction process and is an important part of it. The services he wants to provide and what he does are more, instead of building a few houses with tin roofs and hiring a few security guards and waiters and cashiers. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you for your monthly votes from Nan K Yiman 79, Dong Long Dong, Zhao 1017, Feng Konghu 1974, Lao Chen Tang, It's Not an Impossible World, Book Friends 37479, and Book Friends 20181130105305305944. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2135. After dinner, Mang Chao sent Brother Han off. Xiahua took Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan to drink coffee. Wu Huan asked Xiahua, I heard Zhou Ruyi say, you and Xiao S live in the same building, right? Xiahua smiled and said yes, and as you mainlanders are very familiar with, Master Kong's boss also lives there. Why don't you go to my house to drink coffee? Before Zhang Xiangbei said anything, Wu Huan said yes, I want to see what this legendary mansion looks like. Xiahua's home is in Daibao on Rena Road, which runs east-west in Taipei City. Rena Daibao is the most expensive mansion in Taipei. It once set a record of the highest sales in Taiwan at NT $2.982 million per square meter. 1 square meter is about 3.3 square meters, converted into RMB, is about 200,000 square meters. When they got to the car, Zhang Xiangbei and Xiahua said, this Brother Han is very interesting. He is indeed an expert in this field. Didn't you say that he has resigned from the position of General Manager of Taipei Agricultural Products Import and Sales Company? Can you consider hiring him, come here and serve as a consultant for the Taipei branch of Zaixian Delivery? Xiahua smiled and said, I've already invited you, but it's not possible. Why? Zhang Xiangbei asked. This is not their ambition, Xiahua said, Brother Han is actually a political figure. Before this, he was elected as a legislator for 3 terms and served as the general manager of the Taipei Agricultural Products Import and Sales Company. He was invited by Taipei Mayor KP, resigning now actually has his own reasons. He was forced to resign by the members and legislators of the Democratic Progressive Party, and it was not his intention. Brother Han was holding his breath in his heart. He was chased and beaten by DPP legislators and congressmen. When he was about to be beaten into pieces, none of his fellow KMT comrades stood up for him. This time he came from Taipei farmers after the production, import, and marketing company was forced to resign. He was going to run for the chairmanship of the Kuomintang. Zhang Xiangbei nodded, understanding, if you ask such a person to go to a company, how can he sit still? When the car arrived at Renadaibao, there was a pulse sensor identifier at the entrance. Xiahua stretched out his wrist and scanned it. The entrance door opened. Xiahua told them that at this time, the elevators and other things were also authorized simultaneously, but he wanted to go other buildings and floors that are not where you live are impossible. Zhang Xiangbei looked around and found that the biggest difference between Taipei and mainland China was that the houses here did not have community walls. Although Renadaibao had 6 houses, it did not form a closed community of its own. The layout of the houses here was different from that of the mainland. Houses in the United States are very similar, they are all directly connected to the road or park outside. Zhang Xiangbei asked about this situation, and Xiahua said yes. The biggest difference from the mainland is that there are no residential communities in Taipei like the mainland. They are all independent buildings. From this point of view, this is not good for their fresh food delivery. The distribution needs to be replanned. It is impossible to have a cold chain truck go to a residential area like in mainland cities. The delivery range here will be wider, relatively speaking, more time-consuming. In the elevator, Wu Huan asked Xiahua which floor Xiao S lived on. Xiahua said he didn't know, I only knew she lived in this building, but I had never met her before. Our work and rest schedules were so different. You might not recognize me if I meet you. There are 2 people inside and outside the TV, Zhang Xiangbei said. Xiahua and Wu Huan laughed, and Wu Huan said, you are so mean. The 3 people went upstairs and entered the room. Xiahua's home occupies an entire floor of the building. It is more than 200 square meters in total, which is more than 700 square meters. It is very big. Wu Huan said, it is too exaggerated, Xiahua, so you live alone in a big house. Have you never visited many places? Xiahua smiled and said, I really do. I only spend 1/3 of the year in Taipei. When I'm in Taipei, I come back very late. The living room and bedroom are where I spend the most time. Many times, from after I come back and leave again, I really won't go to other rooms. Maybe you don't even know there's someone living in the next room, Wu Huan said. Xiahua smiled and said, it is really possible. What a waste of money. Why do you want such a big house? Wu Huan asked. I don't know either, Xiahua said, it was all arranged by people in the company. I had all the furniture and everything arranged before I came in for the first time. When I entered here for the first time, it felt like entering a new hotel. It's nothing special, even now, I don't have much emotion, I mean, that special feeling of going home. Evil capitalist, Wu Huan said. Okay, I accept it, I deserve to be scolded, Xiahua said. The 3 of them went to drink coffee on the glass-sealed arc-shaped terrace and watch the night view of Taipei. Xiahua pointed at them and told them, where is Jingfumen, where are Taipei's famous middle schools Jianzhong and Bay No. 1 Girls High School, and where are they? Don Forest Park and the so-called Presidential Palace. The 3 of them sat and chatted for more than an hour. Mang Chao came. He told Zhang Xiangbei that it had been arranged. At 3 o'clock tomorrow morning, we would go to the Taipei No. 1 fruit and vegetable wholesale market to watch their actual auction activities. It was Zhang Xiangbei's request during the meal earlier. They had to get up early tomorrow, so Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan didn't sit too much and stood up to say goodbye. Mang Chao took them back to the hotel. Zhang Xiangbei and the others got up after sleeping for a few hours. Mang Chao had already come to pick them up. They arrived at the Taipei First Fruit and Vegetable Wholesale Market. Zhang Xiangbei found that this place was much more orderly and cleaner than the wholesale markets in mainland China. The vegetables sent from all over the country are all packed in boxes, and there are few with roots and mud. Zhang Xiangbei watched their entire transaction process. The three of them stayed for more than an hour. Mang Chao sent the two of them back to the hotel to continue sleeping. At around 9 o'clock, Xiaohu and Mang Chao came to pick them up, saying that they wanted to accompany them to Yunlin. Yunlin is in central Taiwan and is the largest and most important agricultural county in Taiwan. They learned about Yunlin. By looking at the production and supply situation of fruits and vegetables, we basically have an understanding of the supply of fruits and vegetables across Taiwan. The four of them went to the restaurant downstairs, had breakfast in a hurry, and then hit the road. Mang Chao drove, Wu Huan sat in the passenger seat, and Zhang Xiangbei and Xiaohu sat in the back seat. When the car reached Keelung Road, Xiaohu and Zhang Xiangbei said, "We will arrive in Taishung at noon, and I will take you to visit the Mizu Temple in Dajia Zhenlan Palace." "I won't go." Zhang Xiangbei has never been interested in temples. As soon as he heard about which temple he was going to, he immediately objected. "We must go," Xiaohu said. "If you want to understand Taiwan, you must understand Mizu. Mizu is so important to Taiwanese people. Every year in the third month of the lunar calendar, Mizu goes around the border to offer incense. It lasts 9 days and covers a distance of more than 300 miles. Kilometers, passing through nearly 100 temples in Taishung, Changhua, Yunlin, Qi and other counties and cities. Millions of people will participate in this activity along the way. In Taiwan, all politicians who want to be in power or are in power will participate in this event, including those from the Democratic Progressive Party. It is ridiculous to say that these people want to pursue Taiwan independence and Sinicization every day. Why don't they dare to say in front of Mizu that Mizu came from the mainland, she is from Miaozu Island, Pushan, Fujian? Well, you have raised Mizu to the level of unification and independence. It seems that I have to go even if I don't go," Zhang Xiangbei said, and Xiaohu laughed. At around 12 o'clock, they arrived at the Dajia Zhenlan Palace Mizu Temple in Taishung. Yan Qingbiao, the chairman of Zhenlan Palace, and his son Yan Quanhong were waiting for them and gave them a banquet. Xiaohu quietly said to Zhang Xiangbei, "The Yan family is a powerful person in the local area. If you encounter anything in Taishung in the future, it is definitely right to approach them." "Are they blue or green?" Zhang Xiangbei blurted out. Zhang Xiangbei himself is also surprised that he has never cared about Taiwan's affairs in mainland China. How come he has become sensitive to blue and green after only one day in Taipei? This was probably before he came here. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, told him that when you go to Taiwan, you should be careful when you meet green people. After all, you are also a well-known person in the mainland now. Bai, don't say too much when you meet them, be careful of being criticized. They took advantage of it and made a fuss in Taiwan's media. Yan Qingbiao now claims to have no party membership, but in fact he has always been a member of the Kuomintang. Xiaohu seemed to know what Zhang Xiangbei was worried about. He said, "Don't worry, Yan Quanhong is now a legislator of the Kuomintang." Zhang Xiangbei breathed a sigh of relief. Xiaohu looked at him and laughed, asking, "Why are you so sensitive?" "What do you think?" Zhang Xiangbei scolded, "What a wonderful place, but it is so smoky and the political atmosphere is so thick." Xiaohu couldn't help laughing and said, "Okay, I am sensible and know what you are worried about. By the way, I will say hello to you in advance. We will go to Yunlin in the afternoon. The person who receives us is Zhang Yongcheng, the Director General of the Taiwan Provincial Peasants Association. He is blue and is the original member of the Kuomintang. Yunlin County Magistrate Zhang Rongwei's brother-in-law, the current Yunlin County Magistrate Sus Haifen, who hosted a banquet for us in the evening, is green. I'll go, it's so complicated, Zhang Xiangbei cursed. It's okay, it's okay. There are no distinctions between blue and green vegetables. We only talk about buying and selling vegetables, Xiaohu said. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2136. Zhang Xiangbei and others stayed in Yunlin for one night. Zhang Yongcheng, Director General of the Taiwan Provincial Farmers Association, and Zhang Lishan, a legislator of the Kuomintang, and his wife accompanied them to inspect the homes of farmers and pig farmers. They found that Taiwan's agriculture is characterized by family-based units, relatively small scale, and relatively primitive farming methods and technologies. Like the mainland, the working population engaged in agriculture has a serious aging tendency, and young people are moving to metropolitan areas for development and are unwilling to do so. Stay in the countryside. In rural areas, farmers' associations play a very important role. They organize farmers one by one and provide guidance to them in planting and marketing. Compared with mainland China, the biggest hidden concern of Taiwan's agriculture is that its ability to resist risks is relatively weak. Taiwan's agriculture is relatively an industry with relatively conservative external relations. Their fruits are highly dependent on the mainland market, but they import agricultural products from the mainland. A strict prohibition policy was adopted, that is, he could export but not import. Because the island of Taiwan itself is narrow, it is affected by typhoons and other natural disasters every year, which causes its supply to be unstable. When a major disaster occurs, it will immediately lead to a tight supply of fruits and vegetables across the island and soaring prices. During the good season, there will be oversupply and prices will plummet. Unlike the mainland, there are very few natural disasters that can affect several major vegetable supply bases at the same time. There is a complementary and regulating effect between the major vegetable supply bases. The land of Taiwanese farmers is completely privately owned, and each household does not own much land. Relatively speaking, they have more freedom in terms of voice and disposal rights, which is another favorable condition. It provides the possibility to establish a professional company based on farmers, and its stability is much greater. There will be no conflicts caused by relatively complex interpersonal relationships and organizational structures like the Yubei Company. All in all, here, as long as you can win over the person, everything will be settled, and everything can be determined through the economic system and company system, which is much simpler. On the way back to Taipei, Xiaohu led them to Miali County, which is another agricultural county. Lin Yaokang, the Kuomintang County Magistrate, received them. After returning to Taipei, Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan stayed in Taipei for another 3 nights. Mang Chao accompanied them around Taipei, New Taipei, and Keelung. Taipei City has a population of only 2.75 million. In terms of population size, it is only about half of cities such as Shaoxing, Jinhua, and Wuxi. The coverage area is definitely too small. New Taipei City around Taipei City was originally Taipei County, and later the name was changed to New Taipei City. Both in terms of geographical location and people psychology, there is a concept of Greater Taipei, and they feel that Taichung and New Taipei are one. The 12 districts of Taipei City, the 29 districts of New Taipei City, and the 7 districts of Keelung City. These 3 geographically connected cities together form a Taipei metropolitan area, also called Greater Taipei, with a total population of 790,000. According to the latest comprehensive ranking of international metropolitan areas released by GOSI, Globalization and World Cities Research Network, GOSI for short, the Taipei metropolitan area ranks second behind Tokyo, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Singapore, Beijing, Sydney, and other alpha and international second-tier cities in the World City Rankings. The metropolitan area is an alpha international third-level metropolis along with Milan, Toronto, and Seoul. Zhang Xiaongbei and others determined that not Taipei, but the entire Taipei metropolitan area, would be included in the scope of their home delivery Taipei branch. Taiwan's review of mainland companies entering Taiwan is very strict. This trend has worsened since the Democratic Progressive Party came to power. Zhang Xiaongbei and his company in Taiwan cannot directly register as a branch of the mainland's Zaixianshu. It is necessary to register an independent Taipei Zaixian Delivery Co., Limited in Taipei. The company has two shareholders, one is Fubon Financial Holdings, and the other. They cannot let Zaixiansu from the mainland become a shareholder of Zaixiansu in Taipei. Instead, they use their parent company in the Virgin Islands as a shareholder. In this way, it looks like it is a company in the Virgin Islands. On both sides of the Taiwan Strait, we have invested in two fresh home delivery companies. In mainland China, we are 100% wholly owned, and in Taiwan, we hold 49% of the shares. In this way, Taipei's Zaixian Delivery is still a subsidiary of Fubon Financial Holdings and has nothing to do with mainland China's Zaixian Delivery. Zhang Xiaongbei and the others traveled from district to district in Taipei, New Taipei, and Keelung. The biggest headache for them was that the urban construction in the Taipei metropolitan area was relatively old. Not only did there not be residential communities like those in mainland cities, but the proportion of new buildings was far behind. Lower than even a third-tier city on the mainland, the city has mostly low-rise private residences and mostly old buildings. Most of the land and houses in Taipei are privately owned. Whether it is Taipei, New Taipei, or Keelung, urban renewal plans are the most difficult task for the mayor of every city to advance. There are few large-scale projects. Large tracts of land can be used to develop tracts of real estate. There is no unit like the Land Acquisition and Storage Center, which directly buys and sells land use rights. Renai Daibao, where Xiaohu lives, can have 6 buildings forming a complex, which is already considered a large residential project in Taipei. It's no wonder that houses like this can be sold for sky-high prices. Such a large environment brings difficulties to the placement of their fresh-keeping cabinets and the entire distribution work. In mainland China, a community contains thousands of households. They put dozens of fresh-keeping cabinets into one community, covering thousands of households. Each household in Taipei has thousands of households, almost covering a street. It is impossible for them to put the fresh-keeping cabinet from the street to the end of the street. Even if they want to put it, there is no place to put it. The land is private. Private land, how many people are willing to use it to provide services to others? According to Zhang Xiaongbei's experience in mainland China, as long as the fresh-keeping cabinet is not on the path that customers must pass every day, such as the underground parking lot or the lobby on the first floor, they will find it very inconvenient. Many people can't even walk from the building where they live to the next door. The building felt like a long way to go, let alone walking from the street to the end of the street. As long as customers' convenience is discounted, the popularity of home delivery will double. At the same time, compared with the first-tier cities in mainland China, the Taipei metropolitan area is a very life-oriented city. The number of vegetable markets, vegetable shops, and supermarkets in the city is much more than that in mainland cities. If the fresh food delivery cannot be used, customers find it very convenient, so they are willing to turn around the corner and go to a vegetable store or market to buy food. Finally, another negative factor is that in Taipei, electronic payment and e-commerce are not as convenient as in mainland China. This is still a society accustomed to using cash. This has increased the promotion and popularization of their fresh home delivery difficulty. The good thing is that people in Taipei spend more on living expenses every month than people in first-tier cities in mainland China, which is beneficial to them for delivery at home. What Zhang Xiaongbei and the others need to solve most now is the problem of the fresh-keeping cabinet. Wu Huan, Zhang Xiangbei, Xiaohu, and Mang Chao held an online meeting in the conference room of Xiaohu and Fuban Financial Holdings, and called all the general managers of their branches online. Zhang Xiangbei told everyone about the problems they encountered in Taipei and asked everyone to help them come up with ideas. Everyone was talking about it online, but their ideas sounded a bit far-fetched to Zhang Xiangbei and Xiaohu. They were rejected one by one without even considering them, and the meeting reached a deadlock. "Bai Bei, have you forgotten?" said Xiao Wenwen from Beijing. "What did I forget?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. "If everything is uncertain, ask Dad." "Why don't you ask Mr. Zhang?" Xiao Wenwen said. Zhang Xiangbei couldn't laugh or cry. He said, "We are discussing the fresh keeping cabinet. What is the use of it? Wenwen is right. Brother Zhang Chen has many ideas. Ask him, he might have some ideas," Xiao Wu said. Xiaohu also said from the side, "Mr. Zhang has been to Taipei. He is very familiar with the situation here. You can ask him if he has any good ideas." "I called him and asked him to come into the conference room," Xiao Wu said. After a while, Zhang Chen entered the conference room. Xiaohu waved and greeted him and said, "Hello, Uncle Zhang." Zhang Chen also waved to Xiaohu and said hello to him. "What problems did you encounter?" Zhang Chen asked. Xiaohu carefully explained the problems they encountered in Taipei to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen was in his office in the half-acre field building. He listened carefully to Xiaohu talking on the computer and took the table. With the pen and paper on the table, he continued to draw aimlessly on the paper as he was used to. After Xiaohu finished speaking, Zhang Chen continued to draw without saying a word. Everyone in the conference room knew that this was when he was thinking, and everyone was silent and looked at him silently. Zhang Chen continued painting aimlessly for more than 10 minutes, and then he suddenly stopped. Everyone thought it was a network problem and was stuck. Xiaohu was about to ask Uncle Zhang, "Are you still there?" when he saw Zhang Chen's mouth twitched and he laughed. He pushed the paper aside, took another one, and started drawing. Then, he took another piece of paper and drew on it. Everyone looked at him and couldn't see clearly what he was drawing, but it could be seen from his posture that he must have an idea and was drawing. It must be related to this. Everyone suddenly felt nervous, wondering what Zhang Chen would bring out soon. After Zhang Chen finished drawing, he put down his pen, rubbed his hands together, and then raised his head as if waking up from a dream, looked at the computer and asked, "Xiaohu, have you finished speaking?" Xiaohu smiled and said, "Uncle Zhang, I have finished speaking." "Did you just talk about the problem with the fresh keeping cabinet?" Zhang Chen asked. Xiaohu said yes. "There are two ways to solve this," Zhang Chen said. "One is to break it into parts." "What do you mean by breaking it into parts?" Xiaohu asked. "I don't know if you have milk crates in Taiwan, but everyone in the mainland knows about it," Zhang Chen said. "For those individual houses, the fresh keeping cabinets are broken into parts, which are now grids. Make it an independent cabinet, like this." Zhang Chen raised the paper in his hand as he spoke. Everyone saw that what was drawn on the paper was a door. On the wall next to the door, there was an independent fresh keeping cabinet hanging like a milk crate. In this way, living-in people inside the door only need to open the door and get their own food, just like taking milk from the milk box at the door. Everyone in the conference room's eyes lit up, and Zhang Xiangbei couldn't bear it anymore and shouted, "Great!" Zhang Chen smiled and then raised the second piece of paper. Everyone saw that the paper was a glass house the size of a newsstand. Inside the house was a row of fresh keeping cabinets. Zhang Chen said, "This is a post station. It is located under those old houses or on the side of the road. When the person picking up the food enters the password, the door will open and he can get his own food. Such a post station does not take up any space. As long as it is set up in an open space on the roadside, Xiaohu, you should be able to get the city governments of Taipei and Keelung, New Taipei, as long as they agree, and it will not involve private land. In the conference room, everyone laughed, some even clapped, and Xiao Wenwen shouted. Did you see that what I said was right? Did the veteran come out to defeat both of them? It knocked us all off, Wu Huan said with a smile. Thank you, Tin Soldier, for the reward of 2 fishes, 1 up and 1 down. Thank you for the monthly votes of the vast sky, Ba Liang, no future, just remember the original intention, die, Zixi Zi. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2137. Zhang Chen stood up and was about to go out when Lu Ligan came in from outside. Zhang Chen asked, didn't you say you were going to Wujiang today? You haven't gone yet. Go in the evening, Lu Ligan said, sitting down heavily on the sofa, as if he had smashed himself into it. Can old Tan accommodate you? Zhang Chen sat down at the desk again and asked from a distance. During the Spring Festival, Teacher Tan and MRS Tan returned to Hangzhou from Yongcheng. This was the first time that Teacher Tan and Lu Ligan lived under the same roof. Zhang Chen watched from the side, worried that there would be a storm next door. Thinking of it being calm all the time. What else can we do if we can't tolerate him? Lu Ligan said, now it's not me hiding from him, but him hiding from me. Really, there were a few times when he was sitting there watching TV in the living room downstairs. When I came downstairs, I got up and walked back to the room. That's out of sight, out of mind, Zhang Chen said. Nonsense, if I were Lao Tan, shouldn't I feel frustrated? Lu Ligan said proudly, I was so opposed to it at the beginning, but now, not only is my daughter, but also my granddaughter. You talk about Zhang Chen, he should Teacher Tan feel deeply frustrated. You're so humming mean, Zhang Chen scolded, don't get carried away. If Tan Shahen hears what you said, be careful she punishes you. Do you think I'm stupid? Lu Ligan said and waved, come on, I didn't bring a cigarette, give me a cigarette. Zhang Chen picked up the cigarettes on the desk and threw them away. Lu Ligan then took out a cigarette and held it in his hand. He put the whole pack of cigarettes on the coffee table and shouted. Fire, fire, fire. Zhang Chen picked up the lighter and threw it over. Lu Ligan caught it in the air again and said proudly, did you see it? He is so agile. Lu Lipo lit the cigarette, took a puff and asked, Bai Bei hasn't come back yet? No, they are still in Taipei. I was in a meeting with them just now, Zhang Chen said, they encountered a small problem. Solve it? Solved. Zhang Chen, I want to ask you something, Lu Ligan said. If you fart, hurry up. What should we do about the affairs between the North and the South? Another year has passed, Lu Ligan said, I'm asking this for orders, so don't glare at me. Whose order? Tan Shahen's, Zhang Xiangbei asked. Yes, but I guess she was also forced by those 2 old men, Lu Ligan said, it's strange that Lao Zhang and your mother are indifferent. Zhang Chen stood up and walked over, sat down on the sofa, and took out a cigarette from the cigarette case. Lu Ligan handed over his cigarette. Zhang Chen lit the cigarette and returned the cigarette to Lu Ligan. Zhang Chen took a puff of cigarette and said, how is it possible? We are nagging them every day. However, Zhang Xiangbei and Xiangnan are just short of a certificate. The rest is no different from getting married. They are not in a hurry. We any idea? Lu Ligan took a deep breath, threw the cigarette butt in his hand into the ashtray, took out another cigarette from the box, lit it with a lighter, and said. Let me ask you something. Didn't you already ask? Zhang Chen said. Another thing, Lu Ligan said, if Xiao Zhao was still alive here, what would she do? Zhang Chen was stunned for a moment. He really had never thought about this problem, but thinking about it, based on Xiao Zhao's temper and Zhang Xiangbei Xiangnan's current situation, Xiao Zhao probably wouldn't let them go and would definitely put their marriage to bed. Done. Seeing that Zhang Chen was silent, Lu Ligan continued. We are 4 parents. Nanan has never taken me seriously, and she has never dealt with her mother. Nanan has dealt with you, but Bai Bei doesn't take you seriously. Among the 4 of us, the only one who can trust the 2 of them is Xiao Fang. You have to let Xiao Fang do their job in this matter. At that time, they refused to get married right away. They said it was for their career. Now they have also started a business. It's done well, can we consider it? Even if we don't have to worry about anything, Bai Bei can now afford to buy a house and hold a wedding. Zhang Chen felt that what Lu Ligan said was reasonable, but he also felt that it would be difficult for Xiao Fang to do this. Zhang Chen also felt that Xiao Fang was always cautious in front of Zhang Xiangbei. This kind of caution means that no matter what she does, she will worry that she is not good enough and that she is not as kind to Zhang Xiangbei as her sister, which makes him feel aggrieved. Xiao Fang followed Zhang Xiangbei in everything and doted on him very much, even a little too much. If he wanted Xiao Fang to do this, Zhang Chen felt that as long as Zhang Xiangbei expressed the slightest disagreement, Xiao Fang will come down the ladder soon and won't say anything more. Xiao Fang is going to say it, which is not as effective as his mother nagging Zhang Xiangbei. Do you know why these old people are so anxious? Lu Ligan asked. Why? Zhang Chen asked. Look, Tan Shahen and I are so confused. As for you and Xiao Zhao didn't have any wedding. Zhang Xiangbei had it first. As for Xiao Fang, we didn't have any wedding at all. The old people also understand. Xiao Fang, after all, married her former brother-in-law, so there was nothing to show off. Look, these old people have never even seen a decent wedding. The living conditions are better now. You said, these old people have never seen their children have any decent weddings. They always want to see their grandchildren and granddaughters in glory. Which old man doesn't like this kind of excitement? Moreover, their desire to be great-grandfather, great-grandmother and grandpa is much stronger than our desire to be grandfather and grandpa. Lu Ligan was chattering. Zhang Chen looked at him and asked. Why are you talking so much today? Have you stopped taking the medicine? Don't worry, just think about whether what I said makes sense, Lu Ligan said. No, I haven't seen you worry so much before, Zhang Chen said. Lu Ligan smiled hot and said, even if I am trying to curry favor with Teacher Tan, I am older and understand some things. You should think about it carefully before I leave. Lu Ligan stood up and walked out as he spoke. Zhang Chen looked at his back and shook his head. He felt that this guy came and spoke abruptly today. It's not that what he said was unreasonable, but that his behavior today was a bit abnormal and didn't match his style. What stimulated this guy? Zhang Chen stood up and was disturbed by Lu Ligan. He forgot what he wanted to do when he was about to go out. Since he couldn't remember it, it probably wasn't something important. Zhang Chen walked back to sit behind his desk. Down. Zhang Chen sat there and thought for a while, but couldn't think of a reason. He stood up and walked out. He didn't take the elevator, but walked down the safety stairs on the side. 1 floor below, there is Renjia Hotel. Industry office. Zhang Chen walked out of the elevator hall and walked to the right to the end of the corridor. The door of Lu Ligan's office was closed. Zhang Chen stood at the door and knocked on the door. There was no response. When he knocked again, there was still no response. Lu Ligan's office was next door. The assistant came out, saw him, and said, Mr. Zhang, Mr. Lu has gone out. By the way, didn't he go to your place? Didn't you come back just now? Zhang Chen asked. No. Zhang Chen waved his hand to say goodbye. He turned around and walked to the entrance of the elevator hall. After thinking for a while, he did not turn into the elevator hall. Instead, he continued walking forward and reached the other end of the corridor. This is Xiaomi's office. The door is closed. Zhang Chen knocked on the door, and Xiaomi said inside. Come in. Zhang Chen pushed the door open and went in. When Xiaomi saw it was him, she quickly stood up and came over to greet him. She asked Zhang Chen to sit on the sofa while she went to pour Zhang Chen some water. Zhang Chen and Xiaomi said, I'm not going to sit down anymore, and there's no need to pour out the water. I'll just ask a few questions and leave right away. Xiaomi walked back to Zhang Chen and said to him, Say it, Mr. Zhang. Has anything happened in the company now? Zhang Chen asked. You mean here? No, everything is normal, Xiaomi said. Where's Mr. Liu? Have you heard anything about what happened to Mr. Liu? Zhang Chen asked again. I guess not, I haven't heard of it anyway, Xiaomi said. Zhang Chen simply made it clear, do you feel that there is something abnormal about Mr. Liu? No, everything is fine, but... Xiaomi hesitated and continued, Mr. Zhang, if you ask this, it seems to be a little bit. What's wrong? That's right, when I went to Mr. Liu's office at noon, I saw him sitting there in a daze, his face a little ugly. However, as soon as he saw me walking in, he seemed to be fine again. It was no different from other times. Mr. Zhang, what happened? Xiaomi asked. No, Zhang Chen said, this guy just came to my office. He was a little too arrogant. He said some things for no reason and left without any reason. It's okay. It's okay. Anyway, he was so arrogant that he didn't do it twice a day. Oh my god. Xiaomi chuckled. Zhang Chen still went upstairs through the safe passage and walked back to his office. He sat and thought for a while, picked up his mobile phone and called Tan Shahen. Tan Shahen picked up and asked. What? Did you quarrel with the Pole? Zhang Chen asked. No, why do you ask this? Tan Shahen was surprised. Nothing, I'm just asking. Lest the world be in chaos, Tan Shahen cursed. By the way, Zhang Chen, did you and Xiaofang quarrel? Zhang Chen laughed loudly, he was right, they had a quarrel, and they even started fighting. Go away, there is no one who can provoke Xiaofang into a quarrel with her, let alone you. Zhang Chen, what do you mean by calling me? Tan Shahen asked. It's really not interesting. Just now, the Pole was here with me, and I was talking so eloquently, Zhang Chen said. What did he say? Tan Shahen asked. Tell me about Zhang Xiangbei and Xiangnan, Zhang Chen said. Hey, what's weird about this? My mother nags at home every day. By the way, she also nags with your mother, Xiaofang's mother, and 3 old ladies. However, they only dare to nag in front of us and to us. In front of Nan, I didn't say a word directly, I only dared to make insinuations, Tan Shahen said with a smile. Hey, Zhang Chen, didn't Zhangzi tell me that he was going to Wujiang when he went out in the morning? It's already afternoon, and he's still at your place, Tan Shahen asked. Maybe there is something going on in the company. He said he would leave at night, Zhang Chen said. Tan Shahen said oh and hung up the phone. Zhang Chen sat there and thought about it, but still felt that it was not as simple as nothing happened, nor as simple as listening to a few old ladies nagging at home. Zhang Chen picked up the phone and called Lu Ligan. The phone rang a few times and was picked up. Kui Jian's voice, let me run wild on the snow, came out of the phone, followed by Lu Ligan's. The voice shouted loudly. What? Where are you? Zhang Chen asked. Get on the highway, go to Wujiang, Lu Ligan shouted. You, didn't you say you would go at night? Zhang Chen asked. Lu Ligan laughed, and then shouted, how can the plan keep up with the changes of the people? You can't keep up with your humming nerves, Zhang Chen scolded. Thank you for your monthly tickets to Traveler Ye Busan, the far place is not far nor near, the Mid-Autumn Festival, thinking of the bright moon, and Dong Long Dong. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2138. At around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Zhang Chen's cell phone rang. It was Tan Shahen, and Zhang Chen picked up the phone. "Where are you, Zhang Chen?" Tan Shahen asked right away. "Office," Zhang Chen said. "Half an acre." Zhang Chen is right. "Wait there, I'll be right over." After Tan Shahen finished speaking, she hung up the phone. Zhang Chen looked at the phone in his hand and shook his head. He felt a little confused. These two people, first Lu Ligan and then Tan Shahen, were so nervous today. What were they doing in such a blasphemous manner? 10 minutes later, Tan Shahen came in from outside with a very ugly face. Zhang Chen looked at her and asked, "What's wrong?" "Do you know what happened to the Pole?" Tan Shahen said. "He made an appointment with Dr. Jean for surgery in the afternoon, but he didn't go. Dr. Jean called me and scolded me." Zhang Chen was startled and asked quickly, "Operation? Pole? What kind of operation is he going to do? Why don't I know?" "I don't know either," Tan Shahen said. "Dr. Jean from Zhejiang No. 1 hospital called me and asked me why I didn't have surgery in the afternoon. I ran over and asked before I found out. The results of the physical examination came out this morning. Dr. Jean called Zanzi and asked him to come over. He... Wait, what physical examination, Tan Shahen? Why did you think of going for a physical examination?" Zhang Chen interrupted him. "China Merchants Bank Service, free physical examination for American Express Centurion Black Card customers," Tan Shahen said. "The examination results came out and there was a nodule in Zanzi's lungs. Dr. Jean called Zanzi and asked him to come over. The two people had already said that in the morning. Well, Dr. Jean even jumped in for him and performed surgery on him in the afternoon, but he let him go." When Zhang Chen heard this, he took a long breath and said with a smile, "What's all the fuss about? What did I think? It's just a nodule. What's the big deal about nodules? Everyone has nodules, either here or there. A machine has been used for decades and still doesn't allow for a little rust. These nodules are rust spots in the human body. What's the big deal?" Tan Shahen stared at Zhang Chen with wide eyes. "Lung nodules? Or are you a big smoker like you? Zhang Chen, have you forgotten Lao Meng?" When Tan Shahen said this, Zhang Chen also became nervous. Really, for people like them who have been smoking for decades, the nodules in the lungs should not be underestimated. Nodular lesions in the lungs. The problem is lung cancer. The nodules of old smokers are very likely to become diseased. Zhang Chen has been with Meng Ping in the hospital for so long, and he has a little understanding of lung cancer. He knows that lung cancer is usually in the advanced stage by the time it is discovered, and the precursor of lung cancer is lung nodules. You call him, but he doesn't answer when I call him. He must know that Dr. Jean will call me," Tan Shahen said. "What do you mean after you get through, scold him?" Zhang Chen asked. "Of course I want him to come back right away. I have agreed with Dr. Jean that we will have surgery tomorrow morning," Tan Shahen said. Zhang Chen picked up his mobile phone and thought of the scene when Lu Ligan came in. Now he could match the words he said. At this time, he thought about what he told him about Zhang Xiangbei and Xiangnan. It felt like he was sort of explaining the aftermath. It wasn't the old man who was anxious, but him. He felt that he would be alive soon and wanted to see an ending. Zhang Chen picked up the phone and put it down again. When Tan Shahen saw it, she became anxious and shouted, "Hit it, Zhang Chen, please hit it quickly. He doesn't answer your call. Do you think he doesn't know that you are with me now? If I call him, he will answer the call," Zhang Chen asked. Tan Shahen was stunned for a moment, and Zhang Chen said, "This coward is frightened. Even if he is not afraid of anything at ordinary times, he is not afraid of anything. He is not afraid of anything. If something happens, he will be frightened. Oh, what's the use of talking nonsense now? Tan Shahan said anxiously, are you going to call? If not, give me your cell phone and I'll try to call him using your phone. Zhang Chen rolled his eyes at Tan Shahan. He picked up the phone, but instead of dialing Lu Ligan, he dialed his assistant. Zhang Chen said to his assistant, did you book a hotel in Suzhou or Wujiang for Mr. Lu tonight? In Suzhou? Send me the hotel address. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Chen stood up and said to Tan Shahan, let's go. Tan Shahan asked blankly, where to go? Go to Suzhou and kidnap him back. Aren't you going to have an operation tomorrow morning? Zhang Chen asked. Why, with the Pole in such a condition, can you rest assured that he will drive back by himself? Tan Shahan suddenly realized what she was saying. She said a series of "oh," stood up, and the two of them walked out. By the time they arrived at the Suzhou Park Hyatt Hotel, it was already past 7 o'clock in the evening and it was completely dark. They arrived at the door of Lu Ligan's room. Zhang Chen rang the doorbell. There was silence inside the door. Zhang Chen lowered his head. Look at the crack in the carpet under the door. It's also dark. There are no lights in the room, but the doorbell says do not disturb. Are you going to have dinner? Tan Shahan raised her wrist to look at her watch and asked. Zhang Chen pointed at the do not disturb light, which meant that the keycard was still in the room. Tan Shahan stretched out her hand and continued to press it. After a while, a subtle sound came from the door, and the sound came from far and near. Then the door opened. Everyone inside and outside the door was stunned for a moment. The moment the door opened, Zhang Chen and Tan Shahan saw Lu Ligan's eyes were red. When Lu Ligan saw it was them, he asked, why are you here? He immediately turned his face away, reached out to turn on the light in the room, and said, I'm going to the bathroom. The person then got into the bathroom and closed the door. Zhang Chen and Tan Shahan looked at each other. Tan Shahan opened and closed her mouth and said silently, are you really scared? Zhang Chen nodded. The two of them couldn't help but chuckle. It seemed that Zhang Chen was right. This guy was actually frightened. The moment they rang the doorbell, he must have been lying on his back on the bed with his eyes open. Random thoughts in the dark. The two of them walked in and sat down on the sofa. The sound of water running came from the bathroom. After a while, Lu Ligan came out. His eyes were no longer red, but his face was still a little solemn. He looked at them. Still the same sentence. Why are you here? Tan Shahan scolded, you didn't answer the phone when I called you. You said, I found nodules in your lungs. Why didn't you tell me? What's there to say? The worst case scenario is death, Lu Ligan murmured. Do you want to die so much? Tan Shahan asked, staring at Lu Ligan, who turned his face away. Tan Shahan said, you let Dr. Jean go, so what's going on? Lu Ligan lowered his head and remained silent. Tan Shahan sighed and said, I have made an appointment for you to do it tomorrow morning. No, Lu Ligan said immediately. Why don't you go? Tan Shahan asked, and Lu Ligan became silent again. Zhang Chen said on the side, isn't it just a nodule operation? What's there to be afraid of? Go to the hospital for an operation, lie down for a few days, and then you can be discharged. For such a small operation, just go to a beauty salon with a girl and have a surgery almost like a double eyelid. It makes you seem to know a lot, Lu Ligan muttered. Of course I humming know better than you, Zhang Chen scolded. I have been with Meng Ping in Shanghai for so long, and I have participated in several expert consultations. Not to mention nodules, even lung cancer, it's nothing special now. Direct surgical resection in the early stage, and targeted treatment in the late stage. Do you know what targeting is? Lu Ligan looked at Zhang Chen and was speechless. After a while, he said, it's nothing special. Then why did Lao Meng leave? When Lao Meng was discovered, it was already at an advanced stage, and the cancer cells had fully spread. We couldn't even wait for the genetic test, so we had to do a blind test. Zhang Chen said, "You are still a nodule, and even the cancer is still there. No, if cancer were a frog, you would just be a tadpole now. Your tail has not even grown yet. You can't even swim. You are so sick. Go to the hospital and get an operation to remove the tadpole, and you'll be fine as if everything is fine." Zhang Chen cursed, but Lu Ligan's expression improved. Tan Shahen sighed and said, "You haven't had dinner yet? We haven't eaten either. Let's go and eat first. Forget it, if the food in Suzhou is delicious or sweet, let's go back directly. Why not go to the Jiaxing service area to eat Jinyun sesame cakes and Shaoxing stinky tofu?" Zhang Chen said, and Tan Shahen agreed. Tan Shahen patted Lu Ligan and said to him, "Let's go." Lu Ligan stood up, packed his luggage, and the three of them went to the front desk to check out the room. They walked outside to the parking lot. Tan Shahen and Zhang Chen said, "You go and drive the pole car, and I'll follow you." Zhang Chen said yes. He knew that Tan Shahen wanted him to educate Lu Ligan on the road, otherwise this guy might sneak out in the middle of the night in order to avoid going to the hospital. The two got in the car, Zhang Chen drove, and Lu Ligan sat in the passenger seat. He didn't speak for a while. Zhang Chen glanced at Lu Ligan and saw him sitting there in a daze. Zhang Chen ignored him because there was still a long way to go anyway. For 3 hours, he was waiting for Lu Ligan to speak first. The car turned from Dushu Lake Avenue onto the expressway, received the card and passed the toll station. Lu Ligan finally couldn't hold it in any longer and asked, "Zhang Chen, you just said that the nodules really don't matter." "Of course. But, that Dr. Jean this morning, damn. Of course doctors are like this. A fishbone stuck in the throat is life-threatening according to them. Don't be so damn easy to lie," Zhang Chen scolded. Lu Ligan said oh, and after a while, he asked again. "Zhang Chen, what you said earlier is that even if you have lung cancer, you can still receive targeted treatment. Is that true?" "Of course it's true. You're a medically illiterate. If you don't believe me, you can use Beidou on your phone right now," Zhang Chen said. Lu Ligan said, "I checked Beidou, and Beidou said that lung nodules are still very serious." "Damn it, what you see on Beidou are just some quack doctors talking nonsense." At the end of the article, are they promoting honeysuckle and pestifer, or are they recommending some hospitals? Zhang Chen asked. Lu Ligan suddenly jumped for joy and said with a smile, yes, it's really all the same." Zhang Chen turned to look at him and asked, "Are you humming afraid of death?" Lu Ligan was silent again. After a long time, he sighed and said, "What you said is indeed true. I am really afraid of death now. When I was naked, I thought death was nothing. Tell me, Zhang Chen, did we still have a lot of behaviors at that time? Now it seems like looking for death? What was I afraid of at that time? Now that I have a family and Nanan, I seem to have suddenly become less courageous." Zhang Chen didn't say anything, just nodded. He felt that Lu Ligan was right. Not only him, but he also felt that he was becoming less and less courageous, and he was becoming more and more prone to worrying about gains and losses. "Zhang Chen, do you know how I felt when Dr. Jean told me this morning that there was a nodule in my lungs?" Lu Ligan asked. Zhang Chen shook his head, "I don't know, just tell me." My heart skipped a beat, and I felt that it was finally here. In the past few years, I often think of Lao Meng. No matter how I think about it, I wonder why Lao Meng has passed away, but I am still alive and well. I shouldn't be luckier than Lao Meng. I was the one who caused Lao Meng's death. I should be the one who died of lung cancer. So, when Dr. Jean told me that the nodule might become cancerous, I was not surprised at all. I just felt that it was finally my turn. This is Lu Ligan's heartache and the reason why he is so scared. He feels that Lao Meng's ending is like his own fate. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you to a Tiger 1974, On the Road to a Nation, Zipanjiang 1, Husansi, Humor Tribe, Zongkai 727, and Reader 1297873838407110656 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2139. The next morning, Zhang Chen and Tan Shuhen accompanied Lu Ligan to Zhejiang No. 1 hospital to go through the hospitalization procedures, and then immediately performed the operation. The operation lasted for more than an hour. While the two of them were still waiting outside the operating room, Xiao Fang and Lu Yun came here too. The door of the operating room opened, and Lu Ligan was pushed out. When he saw them, he made a V gesture with a smirk on his face. Everyone went back to the ward, and Lu Ligan asked Zhang Chen to shake his bed up a little so that he could talk to everyone while leaning up. While they were talking, Dr. Jean walked in, looked at Lu Ligan and asked, "How do you feel?" "Great, it's like being bitten by a mosquito like you," Lu Ligan said. Dr. Jean laughed and said, "It's okay. You can't die. You can still continue to be mean with this mouth. I've told you a long time ago that everyone will get sick. Getting sick is nothing special. As long as it is discovered early and intervenes in time, even cancer is nothing to be afraid of. I'll go. Now you say there's nothing to be afraid of. What did you say yesterday?" Lu Ligan scolded. "How serious was what you said yesterday? You also told me that in a situation like mine, there is a high probability that there will be pathological changes. Maybe, I thought I was going to die soon after hearing this." Dr. Jean smiled. "I didn't say it was so serious. Are you willing to make up your mind to get this knife? Let me tell you seriously, in my hands, there were several people who refused to listen when they found nodules, thinking that it was no big deal and refused. I came for surgery and it turned out to be lung cancer." Tan Shuhen said quickly, "Thank you, Dr. Jean." Dr. Jean waved his hand and said, "It's okay, it's a trivial matter." He then said to Lu Ligan, "However, I warn you, I still have to quit cigarettes. What are the benefits of smoking? It costs money and body." Xiao Fang and Zhang Chen said, "You too." Zhang Chen shouted, "This is my only hobby. If I quit, I would be worse off than dead." Xiao Fang said, "It's sophistry, you still drink." Zhang Chen chuckled, "Then just 2 hobbies." Dr. Jean looked at Zhang Chen and said to him, "These 2 hobbies can kill you. Well, I don't bother to advise you to quit smoking. Have you ever seen the inside of a chimney? With a shovel, the thick soot will fall down piece by piece. From now on, you will, when you smoke, think about it, your own body is just like the inside of the chimney, which is full of black ash, and you can use a shovel to shovel it out. I'll go. Aren't you trying to persuade us? You're driving us to a dead end and making us feel sick just thinking about it when we smoke." Lu Ligan cursed, and everyone laughed. "It's okay to be afraid. It's better to be afraid now than to lie on the hospital bed and look pitifully at your family members crying, so you can take care of yourself." Dr. Jean waved to them, said goodbye and left. As soon as Dr. Jean left, the 3 women began to rush at Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen, asking them to really stop smoking and drinking. Zhang Chen looked at Lu Ligan and cursed. "You evil spirit, you have a nodule and you humming bring me into it. Do you really want to quit smoking and drinking with you?" Lu Ligan laughed loudly, and his laughter hurt his wound, causing a sharp pain, but he held it back. Zhang Chen looked at Xiao Fang, Lu Yun and Tan Shuhen begging for mercy. "If I give up smoking and drinking, I will really have no love in life, and even my imagination will be exhausted." "Can you drink less and smoke less?" Xiao Fang asked. Go for it, Zhang Chen said. Tan Shahen picked up her mobile phone and took random pictures of Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan asked, "What are you doing?" "I'll take a photo of you, and next time you smoke, I'll show you how you're going to die," Tan Shahen said. "No, let's just show them the picture of the chimney." "I was disgusted just now," Lu Yun said. Zhang Xiangbei came back from Taipei and went to the hospital to see Lu Ligan. Xiaohu's Boeing 747 took them back. Xiaohu heard that Lu Ligan was hospitalized, so he also came to Hangzhou and went to the hospital with Zhang Xiangbei. Sitting on the hospital bed, Lu Ligan was very happy to see the two of them and said to Tan Shahen, "These two young people are very talented. They don't smoke, they won't turn into chimneys, and they won't have flakes of soot falling down." Zhang Xiangbei and Xiaohu asked what is a chimney and what is soot. Lu Ligan told them what Dr. Zhan said, and the two of them laughed wildly. "But Bai Bei, I heard that you are very brave when drinking, so you still have to be careful," Lu Ligan said. Zhang Xiangbei said, "Yes, I understand." Tan Shahen said on the side, "You should take care of yourself, Bai Bei is more disciplined than you." It is now rare for Xiaohu to come. In the evening, everyone had dinner at the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel. Lu Bang, the founder of the Han Dynasty, Wang Minzheng, Lin Shuwen, Lao Tan, Xiao Wu, and Wu Ziyawai all came. Lu Ligan was also able to come out of the hospital. He would be discharged from the hospital in 2 days, and this meal turned into a reception banquet to congratulate Lu Lizan on his recovery. Lu Ligan still couldn't hold back and drank some wine. Tan Shahen also let him go. He said that such a big person couldn't be managed by others. However, after a meal of wine, the whole box was really like a smoker. There was no one around, and Lu Yun said the air felt much fresher. Wu Ziyawai and Lu Ligan said, "Thank you for giving us such a good deal." "What the hell?" Lu Ligan asked. "Sing the alarm," Wu Ziyawai said, and everyone laughed. The next day, Xiaohu went back to Taiwan, and Zhang Xiangbei went to Chongqing. It was already the 20th of the first lunar month. The Yubei company's plan had begun to be implemented, and Zhang Xiangbei needed to go there to keep an eye on it. After Lu Ligan left the hospital, he still had to go to Wujiang. The project in Wujiang was still under negotiation and needed to be continued. This time, Lu Ligan took his assistant with him. After Lu Ligan came back from Hunan, if he was not with Zhang Chen, he would be alone. He told Zhang Chen that he had passed at the stage of running around with his female assistant. Zhang Chen knew that he was avoiding suspicion and making a gesture to show off to Tan Shahen. After all, he had too many stains in this regard. This time the assistant went on a business trip with him, and it was Tan Shahen's request. The assistant went with him and also acted as a smoking cessation supervisor. Lu Ligan is in the office now. Whenever he wants to smoke, his assistant will hand him a piece of chewing gum. Tan Shahen bought it and put it in her place. Tan Shahen supervised Lu Ligan's smoking cessation at home. In the office, this task was handed over to his assistant. Now, even when he is on a business trip, he is within the scope of their monitoring. Tan Shahen was really guarding against Lu Ligan for smoking. The stabbing that Lu Ligan received not only frightened Lu Ligan, but also frightened her. In contrast, Zhang Chen's situation was much better. Xiao Fang only reminded him twice to smoke less and did not take any further measures. Even if Zhang Chen continued to smoke in front of her, she did not object anymore. Here, he felt that smoking in front of her would make him feel guilty, so he consciously stopped smoking in front of Xiao Fang. Before setting off, Lu Ligan said to his assistant, "You go to the car and wait for me. I'll go talk to Mr. Zhang about something." When the assistant wanted to say something, Lu Ligan said, "I'll discuss the plan." The assistant was helpless. It was not easy for her boss to let her know everything, so she could only go to the underground parking lot, drive the car out, and wait for Lu Ligan at the gate. Lu Ligan was not used to waiting for the elevator. Every time he came to Zhang Chen's place, he always ran up the safety stairs. As soon as he entered Zhang Chen's office, he shouted, "Quick, come on, have a cigarette, I'm almost suffocated." Zhang Chen sat there and ignored him. Lu Ligan shouted, "Hurry up, I'm taking advantage of every opportunity and I'm going out soon." Zhang Chen kept laughing as he looked at him. Lu Ligan came over to take a look. He didn't see the cigarettes that were always on his desk in the past. He opened Zhang Chen's drawer and couldn't find any cigarettes. Lu Ligan asked, "Where's your cigarette?" Zhang Chen pointed with his finger and said, "It's on top of the cabinet. Go get it yourself." Lu Ligan looked at Zhang Chen, as if he wasn't joking. He walked to the cabinet. The cabinet was too high to reach. He had to move a stool over and climbed on the stool. Only then did he see the cigarette and lighter. They were all on top of the cabinet. Lu Ligan took the cigarettes and lighter down and asked Zhang Chen, "What are you doing? Xiaofang and Tan Shahen have formed a united front and are guarding you to the death? With your cunning attitude, Xiaofang will still come to the office to implement the three lights policy." I'm not as embarrassed as you," Zhang Chen cursed. Lu Ligan didn't bother to pay attention to Zhang Chen, sat down on the sofa, hurriedly took out a cigarette, lit it, took a deep breath, spit it out, then sighed longly and shouted, "Comfortable. That's really mean." Zhang Chen came over while cursing, and he also sat down on the sofa, took out a cigarette from the cigarette case and lit it. "You're not cheap, so why are you doing this?" Lu Ligan asked. "This is my voluntary action," Zhang Chen said, "putting the cigarette there makes it more difficult to smoke. This way, when it is not necessary to smoke, you will be too lazy to climb up and get the cigarette. If you put it at hand, you will know how to smoke. If you forget, you will subconsciously pick one up, and by the time you react, you've already smoked it." Lu Ligan laughed loudly and gave Zhang Chen a thumbs up. Gao, your method is really clever. Why don't you put it in the basement? That would be more troublesome." "I let it go. When I went upstairs, I didn't bring the cigarettes with me. I put them in the car. When I wanted to smoke, I went to the car to smoke one. Later, I felt it was too much trouble, so I put it here," Zhang Chen explained. Lu Ligan laughed so hard that people almost fell down. He said, "You almost made my knife edge bleed from laughing." Zhang Chen glanced sideways at Lu Ligan and said, "It seems that Tan Shahen has really spent a lot of money. She is willing to take the risk of letting you run around with your female assistant and cheating on her, so as to give up your smoking habit. Go away. If you really want to cheat, you can still control it. You can cheat by standing behind the door. For people like us, lying together now feels calm," Lu Ligan said. Blow hard," Zhang Chen said. Lu Ligan said proudly, "There is really no need to brag about this. I am now a 5-bar young man." Lu Ligan threw the cigarette butt into the ashtray and reached for the second one. Zhang Chen wiped the cigarette case with his palm and moved it to the other end of the coffee table. Lu Ligan couldn't reach it. Zhang Chen said, "If you smoke again, you will become a 4-stripe." Lu Ligan glared at him and did not get up to get the cigarette. Instead, he picked up the cigarette butt in the ashtray, took 2 more puffs and threw it away. He clicked his tongue a few times and said, "Tan Shahen now treats me with affection and reason. One of her words touched me." "What are you talking about?" Zhang Chen asked. "She said, you don't want your grandson to learn to smoke from you instead of his father. Go ahead, these words are too lethal." Lu Ligan stood up and said to Zhang Chen, "I advise you to quit smoking. Really, Zixi is still underage. You don't want her to wait for you outside the operating room, do you?" "Get out," Zhang Chen cursed, and Lu Ligan walked out laughing. Zhang Chen moved his buttocks to the other end of the sofa, reached for the cigarette case on the coffee table, pulled out one, thought about it and put it back. He stood up, picked up the lighter and cigarettes on the coffee table, and walked to the cabinet. He moved forward, waved his hand, and threw the cigarette and lighter on the top of the cabinet. There was a gillow sound. Zhang Chen used too much force and threw the lighter too far. The lighter rolled down from the gap between the cabinet and the wall to the back of the cabinet. Now, if he wanted to smoke again, he would really have to go downstairs to buy a lighter. Thank you Mike, Zhang Yuanwei and the boy who time traveled into the uncle's body for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2140. Daily Fresh has now disappeared from the homepage of Debo.com and has become a sub-channel in local life. The size of the company has also rapidly shrunk from nearly 10,000 people in Hangzhou and Shanghai to every place, each with more than 100 people. It is said that they no longer even need to operate the sorting assembly line in the workshop. The orders that remain every day can only be completed by simple manual sorting. The number of daily fresh keeping cabinets in the two cities is getting smaller and smaller, and the daily fresh cold chain trucks on the roads are almost extinct. Residents of residential communities in Hangzhou and Shanghai now walk into the elevator. The two billboards for Zaixian delivery are still there. The branch manager has introduced Lu Dihua, the general manager of their Shandong branch, who looks very delicate. This young man, everyone is very interested in this name first, Andy Lau, haha. In the employee introduction section, the person introduced was Song Suejiao, the manager of the Shandong Shaoguang office, the same waitress whom Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu met while eating Dongguo whole pig when they went to Shaoguang. The advertisements for Daily Fresh and It's Better to Come Sooner Than Later have quietly disappeared from the elevator. It seems that Dabao feels that it is not worth spending money on it anymore. The entire Daily Fresh has been exiled and has reached the point of self-destruction. The reason why it has not been completely shut down is because no matter how quiet the company is, as long as it is open there will always be some customers. The most important thing is even these hundreds of people still need to be retained. This is the direct lineage of Debo.com. Once they successfully acquire Zaixian Shui, they will need to mix these people into Zaixian Shui like sand. They cannot completely retain the original team of Zaixian Shui. Move. If the original team of Zaixian Shui is retained in an organized manner, they will be very passive. The genes and values of the two companies are too different. The acquisition of Zaixian Shui by Dabao.com can only be it is impossible for Zaixian Sui to accommodate Dabao and become part of Dabao, instead of Zaixian Xiao becoming part of Dabao. These hundreds of people are equivalent to the Cotter group that digs out treasures. Once the acquisition is successful, they will be tasked with transforming the fresh food delivered to home. After the Spring Festival, it became a public news, not a secret. Xiao Fang and Lu Yun knew that this must be the news released by Dabao. The message, first, can prevent potential competitors in advance and tell everyone that I am ready to take action. If you want to come, you can weigh it yourself. The second is to warm up the acquisition and make it a public concern. In the internet economy, as long as it can attract attention, it can be converted into real profits. Sure enough, after the news came out that Debo.com was interested in acquiring Zaixian Shui, Dabao's stock price on Nasdaq began to get rid of the sluggish stock price caused by being deemed by the State Administration for Industry and Commerce to be selling counterfeit goods more than a year ago. Began to rise steadily. Everyone knows the great significance of this acquisition to Dabao. As long as the acquisition is completed, Dabao will become the largest fresh food delivery platform in China and even the world. At the same time, Dabao will become China's #1 e-commerce platform and will become unshakable. Pinduoduo and JD.com. Wait, We can only keep waiting. Experts and scholars who have studied Zixi and Shui all know that Zixi and Shui is a company that is different from other internet companies, that is, it is not a completely asset-light company. It has its own farms directly across the country. And supply base, it is an enterprise that can truly achieve coverage of the entire industry chain. This was also a major reason why Daily Fresh competed with it at that time and ultimately lost. At the same time, he not only has the field of fresh food delivery, but his point-to-point introductory advertising business will also have amazing future development. Tens of millions of fresh food delivery customers across the country have passively become their advertising audience. It can be said that they have the best channel resources. For Debo.com, Zaixian Delivery also has an advantage that they currently do not have, that is, it truly connects the last mile. The fresh food delivery team can easily connect with the direct delivery business of Dibeo. By realizing the sharing of channels within the group, the most criticized problem of Dibeo compared with JD.com, which is that it does not have its own logistics and distribution, will be completely changed. From any angle, Dibeo's acquisition of Zixi and Shuang is something worth looking forward to. It can achieve a true alliance of powerful forces. This will change the entire ecology of China's internet. No wonder the capital market will be moved by the news. Some media are already valuing Zixi and Shui and calculating how much it will cost if it really wants to start the acquisition process. Finally, more than one media has given a valuation of 150 billion yuan. Everyone it is believed that it is impossible to go below this price. This is also what has been reported. Dibeo will acquire ele.me for twice the amount of $90 to 10 billion. No matter from the current scale and profitability, or the later development, everyone also believes that the valuation of Zixi and Shui is twice that of Hungary. This valuation is reliable. As long as the acquisition is completed, it will definitely be the largest acquisition in China's internet industry. Almost at the same time as the news that Dibeo was preparing to acquire Zaixiangshuang came out, there was also news from the seniors that Zaixiangshuang was about to start its around. The seniors and several other venture capital companies would all take shares. News about fresh delivery at home. I don't know who spread this news. The senior did meet Xiaofang Luyun in Shanghai later and discussed this issue, including the valuation of 150 billion. He also agreed. He told Xiaofang Luyun, no problem, he can lead the investment. The two news came out at about the same time, which made Zheng Huiyang a little worried. She came to Xiaofang twice, and Xiaofang assured her that the contact was indeed there. They were not the only ones who came to talk to us about fresh home delivery. Yes, we always encounter some every month, and we can't close the door, but the around thing is still groundless. Then how did this news come out? Zheng Huiyang asked. It may be that the reporter is making excuses and making his own speculations. Think about it, he is already a shareholder of food and drink. Isn't it a logical thing to invest in Zixi and Shui again? Xiaofang said. Zheng Huiyang nodded, feeling that it made sense. When will eating man and woman start another round of financing? Zheng Huiyang asked, Lao Ma talked to me that day. If eating man and woman raises another round of financing, we will also participate. Lao Ma said that Mr. Zhang can do things. People, putting your money in the hands of people who can do good things is the right choice. Xiaofang said thank you, I will let you know when the time comes. What Xiaofang said is not an excuse. Of course, diet men and women will welcome investment from Dibeo. This is the icing on the cake. Diet Men and Women is originally an open company, which is different from Zaixian Delivery. From the perspective of investors, Xiaofang and Luyun also feel that the current valuation of Zixi and Shui of around 150 billion is in line with their expectations. They know that Zixi and Shui is now on the rise, and it is time to invest. Investors' valuation of the company will be on the high side, but the development of any company will definitely reach a bottleneck, that is, a period of stagnation. At that point, the company's valuation will fall. For Zicien delivery, they are clearly aware that there will be such a stagnation period. This period will not be long and will come in probably another year or two. Fresh food delivery is not passive water. It is based on a huge consumer population. After the layout is completed in first and second tier cities that deserve vigorous development, the cost of investment in subsequent city layouts will increase and profitability will decrease. Taking families as a unit, you cannot expect that families in fourth and fifth tier cities will have the same monthly living expenses as families in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. But the placement of your fresh cabinets and the configuration of delivery personnel are the same. That is to say, the cost recovery of unit fresh cabinets will be slower and the cost of delivery personnel will increase. For first-tier cities, the living expenses of families will also increase. It won't skyrocket in a short period of time. This will lead to a situation, that is, the more cities where fresh food delivery is developed in the future, the more the average income of each fresh keeping cabinet will be reduced, and the overall profit level of the company will slowly drop from a high point to the low point has fallen, and now it is the ceiling of home fresh delivery. Its sales scale will become larger and larger, but the profit margin will become lower and lower. It is indeed time for home fresh delivery to consider the next path. No matter which path you choose, you must do it as early as possible, while the company is still on the rise. At this time, the company is most convincing to the capital market. What's more, don't be careless at any time, thinking that you can sit back and relax, and another daily fresh will not come out halfway, and the oncoming force will be more fierce than daily fresh, and maybe it will carve up your market. The risk of competition exists all the time, especially in the internet industry. When Yahoo was at its peak, how could Jerry Yang have thought that he would be defeated by Google in a few years? When Google was so complacent, it never occurred to him. Facebook is growing quietly and will soon surpass it. When Zuckerberg thought he could look down below, he didn't know that there was a Chinese company called Douyin growing below. By 2020, the global downloads of its international version of TikTok would exceed Facebook's downloads, becoming its most formidable opponent. For Zaixian Shui, there are only two paths he has to take. One is to be acquired, and the other is to start rounds of financing and finally go public on his own. The former path is when you sell things. Of course, you have to sell it while it's hot, so you can get a good price. The same goes for taking the latter path. Whether you choose to go public when the company is on the rise or when the company enters a stagnant period, the reaction of the stock market will be different, and you need to take advantage of the heat. Xiao Fang discussed this issue with Zhang Chen and wanted to hear his opinion. Zhang Chen said that it was better to let Zhang Xiangbei decide. I am his father, and I will only make the decisions he wants a father to make, Zhang Chen said. Xiao Fang nodded, understanding that there was no way to continue talking about this. After Zhang Chen said this, he immediately realized that there was something wrong with his words. Zaixian Shui is not only his company, nor is it only Zhang Xiangbei's company. Zaixian Shui also includes Xiao Fang and Lu Yun. With the three shareholders, Xiaohu, half-acre field is relatively simple, and he can make the decision alone. Xiaohu represents not only him personally, but also the shareholders and investors behind him. Investors will put pressure on him. Zhang Chen feels that his words are too arbitrary. Zhang Chen and Xiao Fang said, either we wait until Zhang Xiangbei comes back and we talk to him. At the same time, call Lu Yun and Xiaohu over and let's discuss it. Xiao Fang said yes. Thank you, Tin Soldier, for the reward of 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Hu Hu, Yan Kainwen, Zipanjiang 1, Yu Hung, Tiger 1974, Daodu, Huishan Ziok, Windenwing, and Zhao 1017 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2141. The outside world was noisy, but Zhang Xiangbei arrived in Chongqing. In this ravine, he could be alone and not have to worry about the outside world. Before and after the new year, less than a month apart, when Zhang Xiangbei came back, he found that the original bare peach trees had sprouted buds, and the branches were covered with flower bones. Looking at the surrounding mountains, they had grown from indigo has turned into a lush green, and the green weeds on both sides of the road are almost overflowing onto the road. On the first day Zhang Xiangbei arrived, he ate stir-fried bacon with spring bamboo shoots instead of winter bamboo shoots at his grandpa's house. This made Zhang Xiangbei feel that spring had really arrived. This time, Zhang Xiangbei was no longer as complacent as when he left a year ago. He was more cautious and fearful, knowing that his test had just begun. He remembered Gu Gong's words, which was a prophecy about putting 5 tigers in a cage. He had to find a way to turn these 5 tigers into sheep, or 4 sheep and Mr. Gan a tiger. Only in that way, the integration here will be considered successful and he can rest assured. When he was still in Taiwan, Zhang Xiangbei was running around in the countryside of Taiwan while still thinking about things here. He was thinking about it every day. There were many things. He knew that asking others would not give him the answer. Others had the answer. That's just other people's experience. Only when you think about it yourself and do it after you think about it thoroughly can you be targeted and achieve the desired results. On the 29th day of the new year, before Zhang Xiangbei left, he told Xiao Bian that he should give each village director the 50,000 yuan and the 20,000 yuan at the beginning of the year to them first, and the invoices could be paid later, so that they could celebrate the new year. When I see relatives and friends, my face will not be so ugly. Xiao Bian agreed, and on the afternoon of the 29th of the year, he asked the 4 people to come and collect 20,000 yuan each. They paid for the invoice later and got the money. The 4 people were very happy and convinced of Zhang Xiangbei. What this person says and does is real. With this money, they can share some of it with those who have come to collect debts over the years. When Zhang Xiangbei arrived, the construction team had already entered the site. While leveling the land at the back, Zhang Xiangbei brought Zhang Chen to help draw the office building at the back and the one connecting the 2 office buildings according to his request. Rendering of the podium between rooms. Building a house in rural areas is not so particular. In fact, Zhang Xiangbei only needs to hand over the renderings to the construction team, and the construction team will find someone to draw the design. After drawing it, the owner only needs to see if it is the case. Let's start working on it right away, don't just modify it. When the office building in front was built, Mr. Gan and his village committee presided over it. Zhang Chen and Xiao Fang only contributed money. This is how the building was built. When we arrived at the newly built building, the construction unit was Yubei Company. Zhang Xiangbei was the chairman of this company. He felt that he could not do this. He asked the boss of the construction team and Xiao Bian to go to the county seat and find county residents. The design drawings of the Design Institute under the Construction Bureau and the Construction Supervision Unit were also implemented, and everything was in accordance with the rules. While they were still waiting for the design drawings to come out, Zhang Xiangbei couldn't wait any longer. He told Mr. Gan that Li Deifu and Lao Xiaotu's old nest must be demolished first, and everyone would gather here to work and squeeze in. Mr. Gan didn't understand and asked Zhang Xiangbei, "Why are you in such a hurry? When I'm here, if there are conflicts between you, I can still stand in your way. If they don't adapt and move together rashly, will you end up in a mess?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. "Mr. Gan, it makes sense when you think about it." Zhang Xiangbei arranged the 4 of them into an office. He just wanted to see what would happen if he put 4 tigers in a cage. On the contrary, the secretaries shared a room with 2 people. Zhang Xiangbei repeatedly explained to them that this was a temporary measure. It was not that the area needed to be renovated, and there were not enough offices here. When the house was built later, you would have 1 room per person. There is also a conference room where party building activities can be held and party members can live an organizational life. The secretaries readily accepted Zhang Xiangbei's arrangement. At the door of the building below, there are signs of the 5 village committees on one side, and signs of the 5 village branches on the other side. The Yubei company does not have a sign, but just made a light box and placed it on the roof, so that it is not conspicuous during the day. When the light box lights up at night, you can see it from afar. Zhang Xiangbei moved his office from the conference room to Mr. Kan's office and worked with him. In this way, the vice presidents of the company would not feel embarrassed when they came to talk to Mr. Gan. They were talking to Mr. Gan. They, Zhang Xiangbei and Mr. Gan, do not report to Mr. Gan alone, which they find acceptable. As long as this habit is developed, they will get used to reporting to Mr. Gan when Zhang Xiangbei is gone and Mr. Gan is alone in the future. This is the way Zhang Xiangbei came up with to replace the old one. Zhang Xiangbei called Li Deifu and the 4 village directors together and told them that one of your tasks now is to provide me with a workshop director for each workshop to manage production, and you will go to the county for me tomorrow. Mentioning the workshop director actually removes them. After having the workshop director, Mr. Gan can directly issue production tasks to the workshop director in the future, and he does not necessarily need to go through them. Of course, we can't directly remove their concurrent workshop directors. That would be too obvious. They themselves know that they are being sidelined. Zhang Xiangbei still has to give them a try. If he takes them to the county seat, everyone will know that we have arrived in the county town. We cannot live without an owner for a day, so it will be a matter of course for us to rearrange a workshop director. The 4 village directors didn't understand, so they asked Zhang Xiangbei, why did they send us to the county seat? I'll send you to learn how to drive, Zhang Chen said. You all have to get your driver's license for me and then come back. You need to go to and from work every day, so you can't ride a bicycle all the time. I will provide you with a car. However, the company still has I don't have that much money, so let me say hello to you first. You can only choose between Geely and Cherry models. When you have money, I will exchange them for you. As soon as they heard that they were asked to learn a driver's license and be equipped with a car, the 4 of them laughed and were eager to go to the county immediately. As for the workshop director, the 4 of them immediately recommended their 4 confidants. Zhang Xiangbei called Li Deifu aside and said to him, Mr. Li, when you renovated the workshop office, you gave your air conditioner a discount. Forget it, let's just pay the original price. You resold it to the company and installed it in the employee lounge. That air conditioner also costs more than $1,000 bucks, right? Li Deifu agreed with a smile, feeling a little touched in his heart. The big boss had so many things to do, but he even remembered that he bought the air conditioner in his office. He was quite interesting to make such an arrangement. After the 4 village directors left, Xiaobian and Zhang Xiangbei said, I don't think it's necessary. It would be nice to give each of them a motorcycle or a moped. Is it necessary to have a car? They are the village chiefs. The township chief doesn't even have his own car. Zhang Xiangbei smiled and said, you are right. This shows that it is very necessary. No village chief in the county drives to and from get off work. They are not village chiefs. Let them drive every day to make them realize that I am the vice president of the company, not the village chief. Zhang Xiangbei looked at the list they provided and said to Mr. Gan. If I guess correctly, these 4 people are not their relatives, but also their confidants. You call them over separately, and we will talk to them together. By the way, I don't care what method you use, I have already brought Li Deifu. They have been sent to the county seat. During this period, you have to make these 4 people your confidants. Mr. Gan said yes, and the conspiracy started again. If you can use conspiracy, you can, Zhang Xiangbei said. After asking 4 people to come and talk separately, Mr. Gan issued appointment letters in the name of the company. appointing 4 people as directors of the 4 workshops. Zhang Xiangbei asked Mr. Gan to send someone to post the appointment letters. Not only to the 4 posters are also posted everywhere in the 4 villages at the door of the workshop office. Mr. Gan asked, "What is the purpose of this?" Zhang Xiangbei told him, "This is an opportunity to make everyone familiar with the company's name, and also to let them understand that this is the company's appointment. Including any notices for road renovations, tap water installation, etc. that will be issued in the village in the future. You must remember that the notices must be issued in the name of the company. Only when the company's name is engraved in everyone's minds will everyone realize that they are be part of the company, not the villagers." Mr. Gan understood. Zhang Xiangbei also gave Mr. Gan advice and said to him, "A company should look like a company. If there is no company, regular meetings will not be held. The same is true here. We should establish a regular meeting system and summon the 4 workshop directors to hold regular meetings so that they can get used to reporting work to you and getting used to you giving them. Once a person has been given an order to form a habit, it is difficult to change it." Mr. Gan said yes. Also, when you have nothing to do, don't always go to Gan village. You have to go to the other 4 villages. From your own perspective, first make it clear that these 5 villages are within the scope of the company and are all under your management. Down. Mr. Gan was a little embarrassed. He said that in this case, the 4 of them might have opinions. Zhang Xiangbei scolded, "I've transferred people to you, but you still don't dare to go? You can't pass this test yourself. What will you do in the future? If you go, you can go directly to the workshop director and ask him to accompany you." "What? Or starting from tomorrow, I will accompany you around?" Mr. Kan's face turned red, and he quickly waved his hand and said, "Don't dare, don't dare." "Still don't dare to go?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. "I don't dare to bother you," Mr. Gan said, "I'll go by myself. I'll go now. I'll go to Lakan first." Looking at Mr. Kan's back, Zhang Xiangbei himself felt a little emotional. The work here is really different from that in Hangzhou. The work here is detailed and complicated. It seems like they are all trivial things, but he just wants to do them one by one. Do it step by step and teach step by step. Here, if you want to make big strides, you can only take small steps. Therefore, Zhang Xiangbei is very grateful for his work in Yongcheng during the Yongcheng International Street Theater Festival. The work at that time was also detailed and complicated. You have to calm down and do it one by one. The biggest gain was when Zhang Xiangbei was dealing with grassroots cotters every day. He understood their psychology thoroughly, which allowed him to come here and deal with several village directors and secretaries. Although the village committee is not a first-level government organization, the village secretary and director behave in the same way as their superiors. In fact, they are all on the same road. Thank you for reading the book every day and ranking third from top to bottom for the reward. Thank you to the fish-eating brother, the old man, and the monthly pass of 4 + 1 = 5. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone.